Hello, experts. Welcome to the Diagnostics podcast. We're here today with Ifeoluwa Ayodele, a final year student from University of Ibadan, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his perspectives on the medical laboratory science sector. Today, we're particularly interested in the perspective of a student because this is the future generation of medical laboratory scientists. We'd like to know what they think about the field and what they believe the field is all about. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Mr. Robertson.
It's nice to meet you. So, final year student, how does it feel to be a final year student? Is it the weight off your shoulders?
Well, I would say that, and also it also comes with its challenges, to be honest.
Of course.
And being in a federal university, I would say the challenges can be a bit overwhelming. I mean, like we have to deal with the projects, research, seminar presentation and all of that, coupled with the reality, which is ASU strike. So I've been in final year since 2021. I mean, early 2021, and still in final year because of ASU strike. So it's overwhelming, but I mean, we're almost there. So we just have to keep pushing.
Yeah.
We came this long, so we just have to push to the end. So
yeah, hopefully those strikes are going to stop soon and people will be able to get back to work. You said your final year topic. What are final year topics usually like? Is it something that's very in-depth that you need to spend a lot of time on, or is it more of something light?
Well, final year topic actually, it depends on what either your supervisor picks for you or something you think you want to study about. It's more or less introduction to research. So they don't really expect you to go too deep into research. I mean, something too difficult to accomplish as an undergraduate. They don't expect you to have like the in-depth knowledge about research. I mean, most undergraduates. So it's usually something that you can, carry out within the speculated time, and something, of course, in the line of your interest. So for me, I studied on my major specialty is medical microbiology and parasitology. So I carried out a study on Candida albicans. There was a prevalence of Candida albicans among geriatric patients, the old patients. So it was fun actually, through the sample collection, processing in the lab, getting the results out, analysis and all of that. It was tedious, but it was fun. I was happy to have gone through the process. Plus, I've had a little knowledge about research before the final year, which is even one of the things that I'm going to speak about today. So it made it easier for me, and it was an amazing time.
So the sample collection, you actually did it yourself, or you also received help from the medical facilities that you worked with?
Well, I did the sample collection myself. I had a project partner. We worked on urine of geriatric patients, the elderly patients. So she worked on the bacterial aspects and I worked on the fungi aspects. So we did a sample collection together. So it was more or less a joint effort, but both of us were students. So it was, but we were assisted by the nurses, and it was good.
And that's always interesting when you are finishing and then you have the opportunity to actually go in the field and then see how things get done in an actual medical setting. Because when you are in your classes and when you're studying, it's always very theoretical, and there are some things that you might miss until you're there in the field and then you see how things actually are happening in practice. What are some of the things that may have surprised you when you were in the field compared to just the study process?
Well, one of the things that actually surprised me greatly was the fact that the patients were eager to, release their sample for analysis.
Yeah, I mean, it's free testing.
It's free testing, but most times when it comes to elderly patients, they are usually, some of them are usually more superstitious. I mean, when it is that it involves spirits. So most of them actually willingly, we even had more than we wanted to study on. So it was quite easy, and then some even had to, fight others because we had like daily quota. So when we meet the quota, and those families will be like, oh, I have to carry out my test. Please, doctor, please. I mean, they just keep. So it was exciting, and it was really amazing to see how people were open to the process.
I think it also has to do with people getting used to things of that nature. So if it's a test you've done in the past, and I don't know how much did it cost over there, but if it cost, I don't know, like 15,000 naira or maybe 10,000 naira, and then all of a sudden you're told, okay, you can do the same test and it's free. You're going to jump on it. But how much is that kind of test usually?
I can't say for certain. It's a federal university college hospital, so it's a bit less. I think about 4,500. I can't say for certain, but it's not as costly as other places.
So medical laboratory science, what brought you to it?
Well, I won't say I came willingly.
You're dragged?
Well, I wasn't dragged, but it was like an alternative. I, like many other students that found themselves in this field of study, I applied for medicine and surgery in the University of Ibadan. So I didn't meet the cutoff. My score wasn't up to the cutoff. So I had to change course. And when I was about to change the course, I didn't know much about medical laboratory science, to be honest. I just had the basic idea. So I just needed something close to medicine and surgery. And I changed to medical laboratory science. And since then, since the beginning of my clinical studies, I found more interest, and I believe I am thriving more than I think I would have if I had studied medicine and surgery.
Because I was reading a bit the profile you sent, and actually I was surprised to see that you were working on bacteriophages and that you had written a couple articles, because it's not every time that you find a student who is finishing with their studies and then they can say that they have already started writing articles. How did that come to be?
Well, it all started during the pandemic. I started this research journey with a couple of my classmates. So when we started, it was a program that was introduced to us in our third year. So the program had to do with annotation and the use of bioinformatic tools in the analysis of bacteriophages. So it was an exciting study. We had no idea before the program, but during the course of the program, like, we were exposed to a lot of things and we were interested. It was just a few of us that showed interest. So, and when the pandemic started, it all went to an abrupt end. So, but one of us, the current research team leader now, decided to go and learn more about research and how to, carry out these tests without having to be in school. So he brought us together, and then we also did more research and decided to embark on the journey of starting a research team, which is called Ibadan Bacteriophage Research Team today. So it's been amazing, learning how to write articles, literature review, research. Research starts from the basic Google searching, using these online sites and getting information from them and trying to, put down this information in your own words, in understandable terms and all of that. So it was just a learning process, and then it became a reality. And then we got to speak with some of our lecturers that were research inclined, and they showed us, some basic things to understand about research, proper mentor to mentee relationship, and it was basically that, and that was how research started for me. And from there, we started writing, getting endorsement from these people, and then started publishing, and that's pretty much how it started.
That's nice. So that means that, so for the publication process, you did have some lecturers that also helped you write and that were listed on the articles, or was it just you? Was it just your group?
Well, some of the publications had lecturers' name on them because they had to review the articles that were written, make corrections, tell you to go back and do this, rewrite this, take this approach, basically guiding you through the research writing. but it was majorly your research, you carrying out
Yeah.
the research primarily, studying articles, journals, publications, and putting it in your words and just getting the guide on how to fine tune and get a perfect research publication out.
And the actual research process, there were experiments involved.
Well, currently there were some limitation, or there have been some limitation.
Okay.
The program that I mentioned that we started in my third year, it's called CFAGES. It's an undergraduate research program that was introduced to us then. So it was supposed to be, it was supposed to include wet lab and also the bioinformatics, which include the use of computational analysis to, analyze bacteriophage genome. But there were some limitation. This our
We always
country,
have limitations in our countries.
Of course. So
Yeah.
we couldn't carry out the wet lab process, the laboratory process. We started at some points, but the pandemic started and then we couldn't continue. So but we had to get already sequenced genome and then just analyze them and annotate them to get their functional results, and then those were accepted by the institutes that brought about the program to the university. So that was just basically what we did. Of course, the projects, final year projects, had to do with carrying out live research and all of that. So basically.
Yeah, I mean, I like the approach you took, because I've always wondered why in our countries we don't focus, well, not necessarily more, but actually, focus a little bit more on things like bioinformatics, because technically it's a lower barrier to entry than actual experiments being done in the lab, but it's a good barrier to entry in the sense that if you start there, then you have a research team. With time, you'll be able to apply for funding and eventually get to a state where you can do the actual experiments. But it's actually an excellent starting point, because you have the information online, you have your various data banks, you can find some information, you can actually help science advance, you can do it on your computer, you can publish. Once you have published, then if you have a strong enough team, you can come together, start applying for funding, and then start seeing how to expand your lab, and then from there grow. But in some cases, we try to, it's not necessarily skip a step, but we try to go the traditional route, which is you start in the laboratory and then you do your testing before, then you amass a high amount of tons of samples before you then get to the bioinformatics aspects, when we could do a bit like what we did with computers and smartphones and the internet, where we skipped some steps and then went directly to the smartphones and Facebook and social media, skip some of the intermediate steps. Yeah, so I like the route that you took. So what's happening with that project now? Were you able to get new students to come in who are going to continue, so that even when you are done, things go on, or what's happening?
Okay, at the moment, the program was supposed to be a 1 year, a 2-semester based program. So after the current sets, or the set that are currently taking the program are done, another group, the third year students, take on the program. So we are done with the program, not necessarily done, but we have, should I say, graduated.
Now you're the mentors.
Exactly. So
when they have hard questions, they're the ones that they will come and disturb.
Exactly. So we have new intakes, new people that are trying to learn. So basically, we're just I would say we didn't actually it wasn't just 1 year for us. We extended it to about 3 years for the pioneer students, because we were the pioneer students. So but currently we are done. So the current new intakes are the ones taking on the program now, but we still, carry out other projects, and through the skills that we've acquired in the program, we are currently taking on other projects like Ibadan virus projects that I'm currently into now. So that's one of it.
I was about to ask, what are you doing while you are waiting for all these strike stuff to subside in the meantime?
I have pretty much on my plate currently. The research is one of the major things currently. The Ibadan virus project. Basically, that is taking a whole lot of time, because it involves the use of software tools, online tools in the analysis of this data this metagenomic data. They're called metagenomic data. So it's more tedious, because when we carried out the projects on bacteriophages, it was streamlined to bacteriophages, but now we're on metagenomic samples, because it was a project that was introduced to us by one of our lecturers, and it's not just the bacteriophages, the conventional bacteriophages. Now it involves other genome, but now it's like a black box. Like, we don't really know what exactly is inside, but we just have to figure out if the genome is a bacteriophage. So we run them through different, various pipelines to certify that, okay, what we are working on is a bacteriophage genome, and basically to like carry out more analysis on them. So that's basically what I'm carrying out. That's basically what I'm doing now in my team.
And what might be some of the benefits of the research later?
Wow, there's a lot of benefits, to be honest. There's a lot. I mean, I can't start to count. From, it increases your chance for someone that might want to apply for internship, international internship in institutes, universities, and, places abroad. It boosts your chance of getting the internship, most especially in the field of study, in that bacteriophage field of study. So and also, if probably you apply for scholarship abroad, to study abroad, postgraduate studies, it also like increases your chances of getting it. Definitely, like at some point in time, you would have to start taking workshops, and that is when you can't take workshops for free now. So it's that's when you start to cash in on it. So, and also it increases your knowledge base. You are not just streamlined to the conventional laboratory work and carrying out basic tests. So you have a little bit of, because bioinformatics it deals with the combination of a little bit of physics, chemistry, biology, information technology, computer science. So you just have like a vast knowledge on all these things, and a little knowledge on programming and all of that. So it just basically increases your knowledge base.
But the way you're going, seems like you might end up a little bit more in research than in a commercial lab, don't you think? Which do you find more interesting? Like if you had to choose, let's say someone came to you and then said, okay, today you have to choose, it's one or the other. You can't go commercial if you go academic, and then you can't go academic if you go commercial. What do you choose?
I would always choose research. I already made up my mind since my fourth year. So I would always choose research.
All right, that's interesting, because it's rare to find people who, or at least here, who will be interested in actually going through and then studying research. Do you think maybe it's because of the program that you are involved in, and then maybe it fostered, you saw some success in the area, and that's why you decided to follow a little bit more in that particular area?
Yes, I would that is one major reason why I am more research inclined. Like I mentioned, when I started, I had no idea about it, but in a very short time, let's say about 2 months, I already had like the basic idea, and the basic idea are ideas that are what's the word now, that are prompting me to want to learn more. Do you understand? Like I am a very curious person. I like to ask questions. Can you hear me?
You cut up for a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
You were saying you said the basic ideas, and then I didn't hear after that.
Okay, I said the basic things that I've learned are like, they prompt me to want to learn more. When I understand some things, I tend to want to know more. I am a very curious person. I like to ask questions. I like to probe. So, and this science generally gives you the room to ask questions. So I think because of that, I am more research inclined, because I just want to find out more, question more, and analyze things more. I just basically want to like learn more about all these things. And I think like when it comes to the conventional laboratory practice, the whole MLS, you work on the things that have been learned, standard operating procedures that have been learned. You can't be working as a scientist now and start going around looking for how to make carry out a particular test in a different way, when it is that the particular way that is being carried out is still very much relevant. But research just affords you that room to want to like learn more, understand more, and prove a point basically, and fill the information gap or knowledge gap in science. So yeah.
So what's your plan then to be able to engage in more research? You already have an idea, a general idea of what you'll be doing, let's say in the next 5 years, or how you're going to chart out that path.
Well, yes, I would call it an idea, like you mentioned. After graduating, I would definitely go for my internship, my 1 year internship, and hopefully I get to serve before I start applying to for scholarships or postgraduate studies abroad. Because, like I mentioned earlier, there are lots of limitations in this country. There are there are limitations basically, and it's because of this course of study, you tend to have how do I put this? Words are failing me right now. Tools can never be enough. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, tools can never be enough. And in this country, I think we have a little less facilities to carry out some tests, some research procedures, some analysis, and there are that limitation as regards basic amenities and all of that. And I think going abroad, you tend to learn more because these are the people that are they are leading in the research field. So basically, I want to learn more, most probably in the bioinformatics studies, and if not, of course, in my major field of specialty, which is medical laboratory and medical microbiology and parasitology. That's basically.
Did you ever think possibly of sitting down with some of those you're working with and potentially thinking of a plan to set up, I don't know what the regulation would be like in Nigeria, but setting up like a private research laboratory, or maybe in the form of an NGO? Because what I think is interesting about that part is if it's a possibility in Nigeria, what it allows you to do is, since you already have a couple research papers under your belt with some of the others, it might be an avenue for you to be able to apply for and get some funding. Through that funding, be able to start equipping a laboratory, do more research, and then grow from there. And what's interesting about that part also is that rather than, let's say, necessarily going abroad to a lab, let's say in the US and the UK, where you can do your work, and maybe go for like a block of time and say you go and spend 3 years over there. You could have like short stays where you go for 3 months, you learn one thing in particular that you really needed and everything paid for, and then you come back and then you implement it. 3 more months, you can go somewhere else. So rather than, let's say, just going to the UK and then staying there for 3 years, if you plan things out correctly, you could have 3 months in the UK, 3 months in the US, 3 months in Spain or somewhere else. Also allows you to visit a couple of different places and helps you see some of the differences in how people work from one country to the other, so that you can always bring it back and then see how to implement things over there. Because like you said, we don't have enough of the equipment present, but the problem is we are all living. If we all live, then we never have any of the equipment present. So it's always interesting to try and, now it might not work, but I mean, while you are still around, it could be an interesting idea to try it out and then see if it works. If it works, perfect. Now, if it doesn't work, you will still have gained enough experience to facilitate your process when you apply for those scholarships that you want.
Definitely. That's a very, very valid point.
Now, assuming you go the other route and you go into the commercial world, you must already have done some internships, right, in the commercial, some of the more commercial labs, clinical labs, hospital labs.
Yes, because our clinical years have been in the University College Hospital. We have been working with scientists while they are on duty, carrying out major tests, bench tests. So it's been enough exposure, and I've also worked as research assistant to some of my lecturers, scientists with over 30 years of experience. And yeah, the exposure has been pretty much decent as far as I'm concerned.
Now, how did you find it as far as, do you think, well, forgetting the aspects where it's routine and then you come in and then you have to do the same thing the same way every single day to respect the procedures? Aside from that, how do you find it?
To be honest, I hope nobody's watching right now, but I find it a bit boring. I won't lie to you. I am not a routine person.
Yeah.
I can pretend to be routine, like to want to carry out some things every day the same way it is. Maybe if I'm getting paid handsomely, very well. But I like to tweak things. I like to
Yeah.
tweak them to make me enjoy them, to expose myself to maybe better challenge. And of course, I there are facilities to be able to, like, tackle the challenge. So
Yeah.
honest, I find it a bit boring to have to carry out the same test every day. But that's the thing about medical laboratory science. There is always something new. There is always, a particular illness or a particular infection, particular disease might be endemic in a place. But at some point, you just find a new case. It might be maybe Plasmodium falciparum that is endemic. Normally, that is what is endemic in West Africa. You might just see a case of where you just find Plasmodium, knowlesi, or the other species, and then you want to probe into, you want to understand what it is, and then research starts, because you're not used to studying that, you're not used to seeing that conventionally. So you have to, like, go back to your textbooks, go back to online site online, and search for things relating to all of that, to basically it's MLS is just, it just affords you that opportunity, for new challenges. You can't always
I love it.
that you have to tackle more, and then you have to understand. So you just have to disregard results, disregard tests and all of that. When you don't see the conventional things that you normally see, you try to understand why it is that it is different at that time. So basically, I think I would still thrive, and I would do very well if I still find myself in the laboratory
In the commercial sector. Yeah, I think labs, it's a mixture. You get a lot of days where you have to do the same thing, and then all of a sudden you see something that you've never seen before, just like you said. So it's a mixture of things. In some cases, it might be very routine, and then all of a sudden you get something completely different. Some people actually like some people that I've seen actually like the routine aspect. They like being able to come and then doing the same thing over and over, but it's not for everybody. Some don't like it at all.
It makes people feel like they have some superpower. You just come and then you just diagnose something, and the result comes out, and the person gets the results, treats it, and then the person is fine. So it just makes you feel like a demigod. So I think maybe that's why some people find it very interesting.
I think it's like any field, really, almost any field. There are some things that are very routine, and you come and then you do the same all the time. And then every once in a while, you get something that's completely different. What's always different is the patience, though. You'll always have some interesting characters that will show up eventually once in a while.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. All right. So when it comes to, how do I put that? You said you wanted to serve for a year. You are talking about the NYSC, is that it?
Yes, NYSC.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for some students who may be watching this and who may not know exactly what the process is, talk to us a little bit about that. What happens during that period?
Okay.
Once you are done with your degree.
Yeah. Once you're done with your undergraduate studies, you are expected to go through a mandatory 1-year internship program for that solidify your knowledge and your practical based experience. And after that, you, like a normal graduate in Nigeria, you're expected to, nobody would employ you, no formal job would employ you without you having your NYSC certificates. So it's, I think during that time is where you get posted to different places. And then that's where your community, I think I'll call it community medicine skills coming. There is this particular point in time in the undergraduate study where you have to do community posting. They take you to a rural setting where you have to interact with your patient first. And this is not where the samples are being brought to you on a platter from the hospital. You have to interact, or what is wrong with you. Sometimes you have to interact in native languages and all of that. So the experience kicks in there. But during the NYSC period, you get to learn more, because at this point in time, it's not just a posting. You are not seen as a student, you are seen as a scientist. So you get to do this for 9 to 10 months or thereabouts. And then, of course, probably you get paid during the process, or some do voluntary works, some go for medical outreach and all of that. So it's I would call it another phase in the study. So you just have to go through it as a Nigerian. You just have to.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for taking the time today to talk to us about your experience as a student and what you've been able to learn over these years. If anyone is watching this, what last words might you have for anyone listening to the podcast?
Okay, I think there's this general notion about Nigerian students. Like, one statement that Nigerian students usually make is they say do you know pidgin language? Yeah, they say school na scam. I want to say that is not true. It's not scam. I mean, I don't know about other disciplines. They should come out and support their discipline, but for medical laboratory science, school is not scam, because MLS has vast majority of opportunities, a lot of opportunity that you can learn from, that you can gain from, can benefit from. So you just have to open your mind, open your eyes, and follow who no road. That's like just basically move with people that you think would help you in this field of study. People that you think have things to add to you, things to impact you in this field of study. So basically, just open your internship opportunities. There are various internship opportunities. There are scholarship opportunities. You can apply for grants as students. Nobody says you have to be a professor, thousands of years of experience as a scientist before you can apply for grants. All you just need is recommendation letter from your doctors, your professors, and all of that. You can apply for grants. You can get internship opportunities. There are various opportunities. Don't just limit yourself to the whole conventional commercial practice, because that might be one thing that's people, based on the payment and all of that. So just open your opportunities, just open your mind to opportunities, both home and abroad. Definitely you get it.
So you heard it here, lab experts, keep your eye out, keep your eye open for new opportunities, ensure that whenever you find something interesting, you stick to it. So it's always interesting to go for internships. It's always interesting to gain as much experience as you can and have as much experienced mentors as you can have around, because it's always going to pay in the future. It's always going to help you in one way or the other in the future. Thanks a lot, and see you next time to talk more MedLab.